Hi, Senator Glazer.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a day of juggling in my world. Nice to see everybody.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We know it's such a busy time at the Capitol, so we will try and get through our event today as quickly as we can, but we really appreciate you being here.
You're very welcome. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Well, let me go ahead and introduce you to the group, and we will just get right started. So, hi everyone. I'm so proud to introduce you all to Senator Steve Glazer, who is joining us today for our final 2022 Speaker Series session. Senator Glazer represents California's 7th District, which includes Contra Costa County and parts of Alameda County. Senator Glazer has been a longtime supporter of our food bank. Over the years, he has helped us by making thank you calls to our donors. He spoke at our 2021 legislative luncheon, and this is his second year in a row joining us for our Speaker Series graduation. Senator Glazer is a true champion for our community members, leading legislation for higher education, the environment, and for accessible and safe public transportation, just to name a few. Senator, we are so grateful to have you here today, especially during the state budget season, which we know is very busy. For today, each of our amazing and newly trained advocates will share their personal hunger story with you. Each story is between 2 and 3 minutes, and you'll have the chance to respond to each story. A part of what we are learning in this series is how to effectively advocate. So if you have any feedback for our advocates as we go through, please do share. Mainly for today, we want to celebrate these community members for sharing their stories with us in a way that creates change and inspires action. Thank you for being here, and I will turn it over to you, Senator Steve Glazer.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be with you all. I so appreciate each of you in your own way, stepping out maybe of your comfort zone, maybe out of your relaxation space, your family obligations, your work obligations to connect with the important work of the food bank. And I know that each of you have a story to tell about why you have made this choice and engaged in this way for obviously such an important cause. None of us can be at all satisfied when we have people in our community that are going hungry, even worse, families with kids. So I know that you have your own story to tell, and I look forward to hearing them.
Thank you so much. With that, we will start with Jason.
Good afternoon, Senator Glazer. I'm the Reverend Jason McMullen, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Ministerial Association of Colusa County. I speak today to advocate for the $300 million Cal Food investment and food bank capacity resilience request that is within the governor's 2022 budget. While we may stand in an age where $300 million to strengthen our food security may seem like an exorbitant amount, I know that making these critical investments in our most vulnerable communities indicates a genuine concern in them. It's the California way. And as a minister in a rural county in California, I have not only seen the impact of that food insecurity can have on a community, but I've also been witness to how a lack of that infrastructure for food erodes the common dignity of society. My story is I grew up in Solano County, being raised with a single mom who worked a minimum wage job just to keep rent paid. And it was a regular struggle to find enough food for our meals, knowing that you couldn't ask for seconds. And Senator, one of the most vivid experiences in my own childhood was visiting our local food bank and having to walk through large containers of fresh and dry goods. And sometimes the food was rotting, sometimes it was old, unorganized, and simply just due to a lack of refrigeration, storage, and modern technology. Nowhere is this seen more acutely, though, than when I came to Colusa County, where that lack of infrastructure brought me back to that empty dinner table, seeing the same features of my past now plaguing the children in our rural county. And in our county, our food insecurity now is 23% higher than the national average. A medical enrollment that covers 68% of my neighbors and the highest unemployment in the state. As only one of our 8 counties in our state that lacks its own food bank. Any food that we receive must come from other counties, as a great deal of our counties are considered a food desert with no grocery store of our own. The irony is that a region that's known abroad for its agricultural heft cannot even fully feed its own workers that it relies on to maintain that reputation. And Senator, it is profound to me that this happens right here in California. And so it is my ardent prayer that you would consider providing your support so that more children in Colusa will be able to ask for seconds. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Reverend McMullen. What a high bar you have set for wonderful, passionate, personal advocacy. Really bringing so many different issues to bear in this conversation that you shared, and I found it to be extraordinarily effective, and I appreciate the work that you've done to share your story, to understand the power and impact of what the food bank can bring, and also when you talk about dignity of life of each person, that's a really important perspective that we don't always hear. But it is so poignant to each of us and those who are struggling and need the help. So thank you for sharing your story. Very, very powerful.
That's humbling, Senator. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Jason. And next we have Cynthia.
Hi, Senator. Thank you so much for today. My name is Cynthia Dodona, and I'm a well-being, healthy living advocate and on-camera talent. I hosted a 6-part TV segment called Wellbeing for the Body and Soul, which covered healthy living, cooking, mindset, and making a difference. But most of all, I have personal life experience with food as medicine. So I'm advocating for legislation for food as medicine, produce prescriptions, and medically tailored groceries and meals, and also for support of AB 2153, the California Fruit and Vegetable EBT pilot project, which would expand the produce benefits allowance and contribute to the better health for the people. Also, thank you for your continued support of food banks and farmers markets. Research confirms that access to good, clean fruits and vegetables benefits one's well-being and longevity. And eating this way is how I stay healthy and has been a key factor in healthy improvements for my husband and father, who I also help caregive for. However, I've also seen and experienced how one's health can be negatively impacted when there isn't enough access due to socioeconomic factors such as medical, housing, inflammation, or any other life challenge. And I come from a family that views food as sustenance and love, like so many others. My parents and immigrant relatives worked hard to make sure we had enough food on the table. And I didn't fully experience food insecurity until later in life when my husband went through an environmental health challenge that greatly affected our finances. Part of my husband's integrative medical treatment included the avoidance of toxins by eating a clean, anti-inflammatory, low glycemic Mediterranean diet. However, for us, like so many others, this was not always possible. And research shows that 63% of senior households age 50 plus served by the Feeding America network are forced to choose between food and medical care. So while I earned money freelancing, it wasn't enough to cover the rising costs of living, food, rent, out-of-pocket medical expenses in the beautiful yet expensive town of Santa Barbara, California. As we went through our savings, we eventually chose not only health and medical over food, but also over housing. So we moved into a plain cargo van and slept in a church lot as part of a safe parking program. Each day I called a daily affirmative prayer line for upliftment. We are grateful to so many of the earth angels behind these programs that helped us, as well as the food banks and CalFresh, also known as food stamps. For the first 2 weeks of each month, when we received our monthly CalFresh benefits, we were filled with joy and felt empowered being able to shop and select clean produce. However, during the last 2 weeks of the month, we were filled with anxiety as we calculated the cost of groceries in our cart while looking yearningly at the produce we didn't have enough money to buy. We tried many things to get by, such as eating low-priced, low-quality food or skipping meals, but these only flared up our symptoms. With my husband on the mend, well, it wasn't an easy decision. We moved out of California to a more affordable area, and we were able to secure a small, healthy home that includes a community neighborhood organic garden. Our life experiences have brought us closer to humanity, and I'm sharing my story in hope of helping others. So my wish and prayers are that people will have more than enough healthy food to thrive each month. And so I advocate for your state and federal level support for future and any current bills regarding food as medicine and the AB 2153. Blessings, and thank you, Senator, for your time.
Thank you, Cynthia. And, as you'll hear from me throughout our time this afternoon, these stories that you can, that come from your own past are very powerful and impactful. And Cynthia, I feel for the road that you have traveled. It sounds like a very difficult one. And it sounds like also that you have a really optimistic disposition about how you see the world and our life. And I know that's not easy, but I love that positive attitude that has come through in your story. And I certainly think that the particular example that you're using, food as medicine and caring for your husband and the challenges that he has faced is particularly poignant. And I walked in your shoes as you told your story, and it really was very, very powerful. So thank you for sharing it, and thank you for stepping up and paying it back in some ways by being such an effective advocate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I saw how you were so encouraging to people last year, and that's why I really decided, and of course the whole food bank and speaker series and how supportive they've been, and how that's why I decided to join. So thank you for your support.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And next up, we have Emily.
Hi, everyone, and thank you all for being here. My name is Emily Deal, and I'm a part of the Food Bank in Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series. Today, I want to acknowledge each and every one of you for your presence alone. Some of you may be hungry to learn more about food insecurity or searching for a space to share your experiences to drive change. Some of you may know someone who is going through a food crisis. Some of you may know food insecurity on an intimate level. Personally, I am all of what I just mentioned. My father, who became paralyzed when I was young, was limited financially, and my mother struggled balancing work and doctor's appointments. This did not stop them from ensuring that they provided for their 3 daughters. We wouldn't always know if we would have a well-rounded meal, but my dad found creative ways to earn money to feed us, like going to the casino, claiming the $50 birthday bonus, and cashing out after a single game. Without a doubt, services like CalFresh, WIC, and visits to the food bank helped us get through. More recently, CalFresh allowed me to get through my undergraduate career without worrying about my next meal. I reflected a lot on my lived experiences, kept learning about myself and how to redirect my energy to grow and help others. I want to thank the strangers, peers, and loved ones for being where I am today. I am grateful to serve our community as the Wellness and Resource Coordinator at Contra Costa Community College, so students can reach their goals and dreams too. In our basic needs center called Comet Wellness, we offer assistance such as groceries, health services, transportation, and housing. One of our largest needs is food, and we have had 945 singular visits at Comet Market, reaching 4,006 people just since the start of the semester in January. According to the most recent Hope survey from fall 2020, 38% of students in 2-year colleges experience food insecurity. Underserved and BIPOC communities are also affected disproportionately. Senator Glazer, I ask for your support on HR 4077, Closing the Meal Gap Act of 2021, and SB 641, CalFresh for College Students Act, to increase the likelihood of and assistance of CalFresh benefits and decrease its barriers in college settings. In addition, I ask for your support and advocacy on present and future bills that increase access to food resources. Think about my colleague who frequents our food pantry yet doesn't qualify for CalFresh, but desperately needs it due to the high living costs in our area. Think about the students who have never heard of CalFresh's existence and are not sure about their next meal. Think about me. Thank you for your time, Senator Glazer.
Great, thank you, Emily. And where you're said you're working at a community college at the Basic Needs Center, is that right? What college?
Yeah, Contra Costa Community College.
And you talked about how many students you see that come by who need help. That's we've been focusing a lot more about students and basic needs. That it isn't just about tuition and fees. That there's so much more to being able to go to college and try to better oneself through learning. And so we are focusing more and more on basic needs in our universities and colleges. And the state is now stepping in when the state never really has, to provide more resources to colleges to help support those food banks and shelter spaces to help the kids get through tough times. So thank you for that, what you're doing, and I appreciate that your very articulate appeal. So thank you.
Senator.
Thank you so much, Emily. Next up, we have Autreen.
Good afternoon. My name is Autreen Glazer. I'm an incoming medical student at UCLA, and I'm also a current participant of the Contra Costa Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series. I'm a son of immigrants. Before I was born, my family immigrated from Iran and came for the care of my brother. He had a rare unknown immunodeficiency disease, and it required him to be seen at some of the best children's hospitals in the United States, such as UCSF and Stanford. However, seeing talented physicians is expensive. It's not cheap, especially for an immigrant family. So they had to reside in some of the roughest parts of the Bay Area. One place that they had to stay at was in some affordable housing like Ronald McDonald Housing, and other places that is provided by UCSF in challenging parts, I'd say, of San Francisco. When I was born, that wasn't my situation. Sadly, my brother did pass away, but my family did recover. They had me, and that allowed them to be able to have the finances needed to be able to put a roof over my head and food over my table. I've been nothing but grateful for that. But it's kind of opened my eyes to realize how much of a privilege it is to have the opportunity to have food, that not only to have food in the first place, but also to have the pick of my litter, the food that I enjoy. I think that not enough of us realize how much of a privilege that is. Not everybody's in the same position as that I am right now, and that many of us are in, and not many have understood the position that my immigrant family had to go through at that time. The latest Census Bureau reported that about 18 million Americans said their household don't get enough to eat, or sometimes not enough, not in just one day, but in the last several days. And just imagine what that's like to not have enough food to be able to feed yourself or your loved ones or the people in your family. Thinking more from a medical perspective, especially with immigrants, that may cause a lot of healthcare disparities because they'll be disproportionately afflicted of having to combat different type of illnesses. So with that being said, I ask for your full support for SB 464. It's the California Food Assistance Program Eligibility and Benefits. It's a necessary step towards alleviating food insecurity and allowing persons suffering from sociocultural and socioeconomic disadvantages to have the same privileges that others who are more fortunate experience on a daily basis, like myself. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you, Autreen. I'll say, incoming Dr. Glazer, that's an incredible goal to set for yourself, to become a physician. You must be a great studier. And there's lots of curveballs we get in life, and I'm sure each of us has some things where life hasn't been fair, and losing a brother is a big one. And out of that tragedy, still looking for that teaching moment about your life and how you want to live your life, and what you think you're capable of doing in terms of giving back. And you're giving back more than just your advocacy. You did a great job in the case that you made, but in your own life, to become a doctor is just one of the most difficult things, I think, in any profession, any occupation in our world, because each of the choices that you make affect someone's life. Are you making a good diagnosis? Are you a good listener? Are you able to deal with the stresses and strains of everybody has some sort of an issue when they're coming into your world, and yet having the ability to absorb that pain or those feelings and give good advice and help. So I applaud the dedication that you clearly have shown in your life to helping others and stepping up in even a bigger way to be an advocate for food insecurity. Really appreciate it, and look forward to hearing about your future as you take these next steps.
Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Autreen. And next we have Dan.
Hello, Senator Glazer. My name is Dan Adrianson, and I'm the Advocacy Program Manager at the North Texas Food Bank. I'm also a hunger fighter participating in the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series, and I hope to one day bring this great program to our food bank here in Texas. Before joining the food bank, I already knew that hunger was unacceptable, but I didn't understand how prevalent food insecurity is or how interconnected it is to so many other issues. I've learned that issues like healthcare access, affordable housing, education play important roles in someone's financial security, which then in turn affects their ability to secure enough healthy food. At the start of the pandemic, I was working at Catholic Charities Dallas. There, I saw firsthand the long lines at our food distribution centers that wrapped around the parking lot and even extended on the nearby roads. I saw our neighbors in need standing in line for hours to receive only a few days' worth of food. It was shocking and saddening to me to see how desperate folks were, and that experience had a profound impact on me. I realized I couldn't stand back and watch anymore. I had to get more involved in the fight against hunger. That's when I decided to join the food bank and fight for policy change. Distributing food provides an important short-term solution, but policy is critical for combating poverty and hunger in the long term. In the past year, we've seen inflation increase costs 8.5% nationwide, so families' struggles to nourish themselves have grown even worse. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we're sitting at the 4th highest rate of inflation in the country. SNAP is an important tool for addressing food insecurity, but the current baseline for SNAP is based on the Thrifty Food Plan, which was set before the high inflation that we've seen in recent months. When a dollar is worth even less, the impact is that much more profound. It's essential that we raise that baseline to the more adequate low-cost food plan to make sure families have enough resources to spend on food on a monthly basis. For these reasons, I urge your strong support of HR 4077, the Closing the Meal Gap Act of 2021, which will enable more families in need to benefit from this incredibly important program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dan. And how did you get connected with the Contra Costa Solano Food Bank and their speakers program?
Yeah, great question. So I started this role back in November, and it's a new role at our food bank, trying to expand our advocacy on the grassroots level. So what I've been doing is I've been reaching out to different food banks who have a community advocacy program and programs such as the speaker series. So I reached out to Cassidie and we met. She gave me some great pointers, and then she actually invited me to join the speaker series, kind of see how it works, how it runs, and I've learned a lot through the process. So,
well, that's fantastic, and it reminds us again how we're all interconnected, dependent upon each other, supportive of each other. State boundaries, food insecurity doesn't know a state boundary or even a boundary of a nation. It's a worldwide challenge, as you know, and I appreciate in particular how you recognize how policy is the long-term solution doesn't mean we're going to solve it, but it's the long-term progress point that is bigger than just that meal that you're providing or that food that you're providing that day or that week. And you know, you're very articulate for how we have to think a little bit bigger and wider and of the work that we are all doing. And I'm thrilled that you have been a part of this speaker series, because you're learning from the best. This is a fantastic program, and as you've heard so far, listening to Jason and Cynthia and Emily and Autreen and Dan, I mean, what great learning that you have all done to be able to make these compelling cases to me, and I know to others. So thank you, Dan, for being a part of this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that feedback, Senator.
Thank you so much, Dan. Our next speaker is Lupe.
Hello, Senator. Hello, everyone. My name is Lupe. I work for the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano County, and I am a current participant in the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series. So imagine you're 11 years old, standing in the lunch line at school. You're hungry, and everything you will eat for the next 24 hours is in the lunch tray. Well, I was that 11-year-old, and yes, at time my brother and I will only eat one meal a day. Now, working for a CalFresh program, I keep seeing the same food insecurities in students 15 years later. Today, 25% of all children in California live in poverty. That is 754,000 children that have 1 or 2 meals a day. These type of food insecurities affect children's lives in school, making it much difficult for them to pay attention in their classes and possible long-term life effects. Today, I am asking for your strong support of HR 6613, Keeping School Meals Flexible Act. I am asking you to extend child nutrition waivers that have the potential to impact children's lives by providing a meal every day and helping parents during these extremely challenging times. I know that together we can make a powerful impact in everybody's lives. Thank you for your time, Senator.
Thank you, Lupe, and thank you for sharing your story. I always find that sharing a personal story is particularly effective. A lot of people don't like to show vulnerability at a lot of levels, and not just in terms of food insecurity, but it could be, call it brain health issues. There's a lot of things that can make someone uncomfortable. And what we try to tell people, we want to destigmatize a lot of this stuff so that we can have honest conversations about it. And when you share your vulnerability, I think you're giving permission to others to share theirs as well, and to acknowledge the fragility of our world and how we all have to help each other. One of the things that I'm very proud of last year in the California legislature is that we eliminated a lot of the requirements for school lunches, school meals, breakfast and lunches, where we universally have now provided the resources so that every school can provide 2 meals a day to our children, irrespective of whether they qualify for one state program or one federal program. And hopefully in doing so, eliminate the story that you told as an 11-year-old with a single meal a day. Has that resolved all the problems for our children? Of course not. But it was an important step forward, an expensive one, but an important step forward. And Lupe, I appreciate you sharing that story, that vulnerability and that worry and the effect it has in terms of as a student that you're supposed to be learning, yet you're hungry. And it was very powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Senator. I know that children are our future and we should definitely be taking care of them, as I know that I was taken care of at some point when I was a kid. So I want to do the same thing.
Well, you've grown up to be a great leader in the effort to alleviate hunger. Thank you for being involved with the food bank.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lupe. And next we'll go to Nancy.
Good afternoon, Senator Glazer. I'm Nancy Morgans Ferguson, Director and the co-founder of the Shalom Free Clinic, a nonprofit 501c3 non-religious based clinic located in Chico that offers free medical care and mental health care to those that are uninsured or underinsured. I am a current participant in the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano Speaker Series. I am asking for your support of SB 641, CalFresh for College Students Act. My interactions with a woman named Mary, facing many medical challenges, inspired me to start the Shalom Free Clinic in 2007. To date, we have seen over 33,000 clients and have helped dozens upon dozens of student volunteers from Cal State University, Chico, and from Butte College fulfill their required 2,000 to 4,000 hours of volunteer service in order to apply for medical school, physician assistant programs, or other medical programs. Yale, Columbia, Harvard, UC Davis, UCLA, what do these things have in common? I have a student that has been volunteering at Shalom for 3 years and has been accepted at these prestigious universities to continue his education towards becoming a physician. He has put in over 2,000 hours while sleeping on a mattress on the floor in a shared apartment. Lawrence, he suffers from food insecurity. He uses the food bank located at Shalom Free Clinic and also the food pantry at Chico State. Imagine making your decisions of which university to attend next based on food availability and what food programs can you qualify for. According to statistics, only 22% of eligible students receive CalFresh. We all know that hunger is linked to poor school performance and health consequences down the road. College students face a number of barriers in accessing or receiving food assistance, including stigma, lack of information on available resources, ineligibility for assistance, and confusing information about qualifications for CalFresh. In a survey done at CSU Chico in 2018, 50% of students stated that they experienced high to very high food insecurity. And this was before the campfire and COVID and the recent increases in food prices. I am sure even more students are dealing with food insecurity. SB 641 will normalize and reduce stigma, offer easy and welcoming practices to services, introduce multiple points of entry for services, and the bill even includes classes in cooking and how to choose healthy foods to prepare. This bill will help participation among eligible CalFresh college students and free up students to make further educational choices based on school preferences rather than food security. I am asking for your strong support of SB 641 and urging you to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And how did you get connected to the Contra Costa Solano Food Bank Speakers Program?
Well, you know, interestingly, half of our population here at the clinic, as I said, are underserved to begin with, and they're hungry. And they asked, I realized the first day we opened, we needed food. We used to cook 100 meals and feed them every day. With COVID, we had to stop that. So now we're doing a pantry where our patients can come in. There's no sense in us spending hours with a patient that's diabetic and handing them, a lot of corn with a lot of salt added or bread. Dr. Logan, our medical director, works mostly with diabetics and people with hypertension at our clinic. And so we're very careful with the food that we hand out. And so the food bank has offered to let us have some of these foods that would actually help our patients rather than hinder their healing. If you're going to spend thousands of dollars a month being a diabetic, you should be eating something that's not going to make it worse.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Well, I spent some time in Los Angeles and had friends who used the LA Free Clinic. It was a lifesaver for them, for their care. And what an incredible achievement to start it in 2007, you said, in Chico, and you're still going strong through this pandemic, which has been very tough on everybody. I'm sure doubly so for you and your staff and serving those folks need that extra help. So thank you for all that you're doing, and a great presentation.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate all that you're doing, really, at so many different levels. You're helping people, so thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And our final speaker today is Ilaf.
Good afternoon, Senator Glazer. It's great to see you, and thank you so much for taking this time to talk to us. I know you've heard lots of testimonies today, but I'm excited to wrap this up because this is important for us to talk about. So my name is Ilaf Isuf, and I'm joining my colleagues here to speak to you as a part of the 2022 Contra Costa and Solana Speaker Series. But I also want to point out that I deal with many of these issues in my day-to-day as a housing and economic policy analyst at United Way Bay Area as well. I'm personally moved to support SB 464, given my own background as an immigrant from Sri Lanka, where most people can't afford staples like rice or oil. We may not see that, and I grew up seeing emaciated children, actually, with palms outstretched asking for food, and we may not see that in the streets here, but you see it in the children who fall asleep in school because they didn't have dinner or breakfast, or the families that have to make one meal stretch for days. And many may be surprised when I say those same issues persist for a large number of people here in the United States, but it's true. Among working families in California, the poverty rate for children of immigrants is more than twice of other kids in working families. It goes from 11% for non-immigrant children all the way to 24% for immigrant children. Non-citizens, most of whom are low income, are currently barred from accessing services like CalFresh solely due to their immigration status. But SB 464 would give us an opportunity to expand access to food and advance all Californians' health and nutrition, because everyone deserves access to healthy foods, and SB 464 would help us do just that. So I'm asking for your strong support on this bill to ensure that Californians can have healthy food. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilaf. And what do you do at United Way again? Can you tell me again?
I'm the housing and economic policy analyst, but I manage all of our anti-poverty issues.
And so tell me, what does that mean pragmatically? What is your day like?
Yeah, it means I'm talking to a lot of community members and CBOs on the ground who are interacting with community members impacted by issues just like this, not having access to food, who are stuck in poverty because they're not able to have a strong foundation to actually move forward, whether that's housing access or food access or barriers in employment. And so we see that all happening on a programmatic level on the ground. And then my job is to try and figure out what policy solutions could be to address those issues.
And how long have you worked there?
For a year.
And where did you come from? How did you get that job?
Yeah, prior to this, I was working in higher education and workforce policy on a state level. Before that, I was an immigration paralegal. And so I'm just making my rounds trying to help community members, especially those who are low income in communities of color.
And are you here in Contra Costa?
I am. I'm in Richmond.
In Richmond, wow. Well, thank you for all that you do. And that's a great day job because you're hearing the stories that many are telling today and trying to connect that to policy, as Dan was talking about in terms of his presentation. Connecting those two together is really important for us to make more progress than just giving someone food one day, but as the proverbial teaching people how to fish and finding where the gaps in our safety net that we can help fulfill through education or through training, are the kinds of things that can help get someone back on their feet and able to take care of themselves without the benefit of the food bank. Well, I thought when we started off with Reverend McMullen that it was going to be very tough to top his incredibly articulate presentation, but all of you did such a good job. You know, in the legislature, as a senator, we get people coming in every day to share one need or another, and it's a big state, almost 40 million people, and we almost have 15 million on some sort of state help, whether that's in healthcare, whether that's in shelter and food. Poverty is a serious problem in our state. And at the same time, we have other great needs in education and higher education, in our transportation systems and public safety. So we hear about a lot of needs. And one of the the fallbacks for people who come in and talk to us is to just give statistics. And so we hear a lot of statistics, but where folks are particularly persuasive in talking to policymakers like me is when they share a personal story, as all of you have today, because it brings things to life. And it separates out the numbingness of numbers, because they could be so big with storytelling that makes you remember, whether that's remembering Lupe as an 11-year-old in the food line, whether that's Cynthia talking about the struggles in Santa Barbara and her housing situation and the vulnerability of her husband and food as medicine. All these things, I call it stickiness. It's the stickiness of all that you experience in your daily life, all the exposures from billboards to TV, to radio, to conversations, to interactions. I mean, we all get a lot of impacts and inputs in our daily life. What sticks? What sticks? What do you remember? And your personal stories are the things that stick. And each of you, in your own way, did such a good job of not just providing the statistics and the facts, which should be powerful, but again, in the whole range of all the things that we hear every day. But each of your personal stories, life in Calusa, each of you has shared something that has a stickiness to it, that really makes the impact of what you're sharing so much more effective. And so I applaud all of you. What a change from last year, Joel, and your team are doing a marvelous job in really elevating the power of the work that you do and the circumstances that we find ourselves in with so many neighbors and friends in need. So I thank you for doing such a good job. Really, you've just excellence is what I got to participate in here today and listening to all of you.
I'll just jump in and say thank you, Senator, for investing the time again this year to be with this group. And yes, I think we're all very proud of this class and the impact that this class has had and will have as we move forward. So thank you for your support to this group, to our food bank, for our community, and all that you're doing, really to serve our neighbors in need. So thank you, Senator.
Yeah, thank you, Joel. And you guys are all a part of progress. We were struggling. There's so many challenges in our life today. The pandemic has made it doubly worse. But stepping out of your comfort zone, out of your relaxation zone where you'd rather be sitting in front of the TV or doing something different, to get involved and to really internalize and share, the work that you're doing really is very powerful. And as it brings us all together as the human family to try to make our world a better place for everyone at such an important level. So I thank you all and I look forward to running into you in the community and hopefully having the chance to hear you speak and articulate even more, because you guys are exceptional. And from Texas all the way to Chico. That's pretty fun that you guys have broadened the reach, because certainly going to make an impact in the world in so many different places. So applause.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Senator. We know you have another 3:45 and how busy this time of year is. But thank you so much. It's always wonderful to have you, and your feedback and praise is so helpful to all of us as we continue to improve as advocates. So thank you so much. And Alexia, thank you as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, see you later.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much, Senator.